Alright, today we are going to be learning about multi-step equations. We are on page 7 of our packets. Just a reminder, these packets are printed and in the office, so if you need anything, or if you still need a copy, please go ahead and grab one from the office. These are almost 40 pages long, so we don't want to necessarily waste our own ink. So let's get started on the lesson. Again, we are going to be going over multi-step equations. These are going to be a little bit more intensive than what we ended up working on in our previous video. So our last video, basically all we had to do was either decide if we needed to add or subtract from both sides or multiply or divide. In this case, we are going to follow a set of steps to get our problem solved. So in the end, we want to have a single variable by itself so that we can figure out what number that variable is standing for. The very first thing that we're going to do is to take care of any parentheses that we have. That could mean distributing, that can mean simplifying inside the parentheses, but we want to make sure we take care of our parentheses first. Next, we're going to combine like terms on each side. So combine like terms on the left side of our equation, combine like terms on the right side. Then we are going to move our variables to one side, and then we're going to move our constants to the other side. So whatever side we move our variables to, we are going to move our constants to the opposite side. And then we're going to either divide or multiply to get the variable by itself. So let's go ahead and see what that looks like in terms of number 1. So for number 1, we don't have any parentheses, so I can skip that step. So for step number 2, I need to combine like terms on each side. So I need to check the left-hand side to see if I have any like terms on the left. And then I need to check the right-hand side to see if I have any like terms on the right. On the left, you can see that I have one term with an x in it and one term with nothing, no variable. So those are not like terms, I cannot combine them. And then on the right-hand side, all I have is a single term, so it can't be combined. So step 1 and step 2, we don't have anything to do with on this particular problem. Let's go ahead on and move all of our variables to one side. So if I look at this problem, I have x's on the left and nothing else, no variables on my right. So again, I don't have anything to do with step 3. Step 4, I'm going to move my constants. This is where I see I have a constant on the left-hand side and a constant on the right-hand side. I want to go ahead and what we call move them over. In order to move that constant from the left to the right, I can add it. So I'm going to take the 4, what was minus 4, and I'm going to perform the opposite operation, which is adding 4. Whatever I do to one side in order to keep them equal, I have to do to the other. So if I add 4 to one side, I have to add 4 to the other side. Then I'm going to get my minus 4 plus 4 just becomes 0. It cancels out. And I'm left with 7x on the left-hand side. So my 4's are gone. All I have left is the 7x. And then I have a negative 11 plus 4 is a negative 7. So the next thing that I need to do is either divide or multiply to get the variable by itself. Right now I have multiplication here, so the opposite of multiplying is dividing. If I divide by 7 on both sides, my 7 divided by 7 becomes 1. 1 times x is just x. And negative 7 divided by 7 is negative 1. So you can see in this particular problem, the only steps that I needed out of this 5-step list was step 5 and step 4. So let's go ahead and try number 2. I'm going to first check for parentheses, and I don't have any here, so I'm good for step 1. Step 2, combine like terms. I only have one term with a variable over here and one term without, so I can't combine like terms on the left, and I only have a single term on the right, so I don't have to do that. I'm going to see if I need to move my variables. Well, right now my variables are only on the left-hand side, so I already have those on a single side. So let's go ahead and move our constants. Right now I have a +7 with my variable. I want to go ahead and move that over. I'm going to use the opposite operation to do that. +7 minus 7 becomes 0. So all I have left on the left-hand side is a 3y, and on the right-hand side I get negative 15. So that 7 has moved from the left to the right. So that was step 4. And on step 5, we are told to either multiply or divide to get our variable by itself. So here, right now I have multiplication in here. I am going to divide both sides by 3. Divide by 3. I get y equals a negative 5. And that was completing step 5. So let's go ahead and practice some more of these steps than just 4 and 5. Let's go ahead and look at number 4. Again, I don't have any parentheses, so I can skip step 1. But let's go ahead and look at step 2. This time here I have an x and an x here. So I have two terms that have a single x as the variable. So I can go ahead and combine those. So 7x minus 3x leaves me with 4x's. And I'm just copying down the rest of my problem. That's step 2 out of my 5 steps here. Now I want to see if I need to move the variables to either side. Well, the variables are already on the left-hand side, so I don't have anything to do with step 3. I want to move all my constants to the right side, so I'm going to add 8 to both sides. So I'm just doing step 4 here. So I have 32. And that is completing step 4. Now I want to check step 5. Am I going to multiply or divide to get the variable by itself? Here I have multiplication. The opposite of multiplying is dividing. So I get x equals 4 divided by 30, or 4 into 32 is 8, and that is step 5. Let's go ahead and practice one like number 6. So again, I'm going to go back to my list of 5 steps. Do I have any parentheses that I need to take care of first? The answer is no. Do I have any like terms on each side? So I have one term over here with a variable, one without. So there's no like terms over here. And I only have one term over there. So I'm good on step 2. Step 3, I want to move all of my variables to one side, but they already are. And step 4, I want to move my constants. So here my constant is 1. It's the constant with the variable. I want to move this from the side with the variable to the side without the variable. So I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. The only thing that I have left, because the plus 1 minus 1 becomes 0, the only thing I have left on the left-hand side is x over 4, and I get a 15 on the right. Now when I move, and that was step 4. Now when I move on to step 5, dividing or multiplying to get the variable by itself, I see that I have division here. The x is being divided by 4. So in order to get rid of division, I'm going to multiply both sides by 4, and I get x equals 60. Alright, so the problems on the back page are going to be a little bit more difficult still. So I want to do a couple of problems with you here, and then I'm going to leave the rest for our conversation during our Google Meet or in class, depending on whether you're an in-school learner or a online learner. So here, if I look at this problem, I do have parentheses, so I need to go ahead and take care of those parentheses first before I can do anything else. So I'm going to take this 2 and distribute it through my parentheses. Don't forget that second term. Most people get 2x when they do that first term, but then they forget to bring the 2 times the 7 for that second term. You have to bring the 2, you're distributing it to both terms in here. So I get 2 times 7 is 14, and I'm copying down the rest of my problem. That's step 1. If I look at step 2, combining like terms, all I have is one term with an x and one term with no variable over here, so I don't have any like terms to combine. If I'm looking at step 3 to move the variables, all I have is an x on the left-hand side, so I don't have to do that. And then moving the constants, I'm just going to take that 14 and move it to the right-hand side away from the variable. So I get 2x on the left and 4 on the right. That is completing step 4 of our list. And then step 5, right now I have multiplying here 2 times x, so I'm dividing both sides by 2 to get rid of that multiplication. So I get x equals 2, and that is completing step 5 of our list. Looking at number 8 then, and this is the last problem we're going to do together for this video. Looking at number 8, I want to go ahead and distribute, I want to take care of my parentheses first. I want to distribute here, but I'm distributing a -3. So remember, that negative has to come with the 3 when I'm distributing it. So a negative times a negative becomes a positive 3r. A negative times a positive becomes a -6. Or a plus a -6 would be appropriate as well. But please, please, please remember again that -3 has to be brought to that second term as well. I don't want to write a 2 here. So that's completing step 1 of our list. I don't have any like terms to combine. My variable's already on one side, so I'm going to skip down to step 4 and move my constant. And that is step 4 again. And then completing step 5, I'm going to either divide or multiply. Here would be division. So r equals 4 as my final answer. Now one thing that I forgot to do, which I want to go back and do, is to make sure all of my answers are boxed so that I can find them easier when I am looking through and checking my work, and I want you to do when I am grading your assignments or your assessments. Again, that was multi-step equation solving using our 5-step method.